So I ended up going on a big journey all over the world for 3 years, using my training in the social sciences at Cambridge University to interview over 200 of the leading experts on focus and attention. And what I learned from them is there's scientific evidence for 12 factors that can make your attention better or can make it worse. And loads of the factors that can make your attention worse have hugely increased in recent years, particularly for our children. And we've got to understand our attention didn't collapse. Our attention has been stolen from us. And once you understand the factors, the 12 factors that are stealing it, we can begin to deal with them.
And what I appreciate about what you've written about is that we are often confronted with this idea of our attention and different things we can do. But what I so appreciate about your perspective and the way you look at it is that you were not looking at it from this individualist lens. You're looking at it from this very holistic lens. And yes, in the 12 factors, we're going to talk about technology, but there's a lot of other things in here. There's includes confinement of our children, our diets, our surge in stress, all kinds of different things, even sort of the time, et cetera. But it's there, we often blame ourselves, like, I should be doing this. I know I should be doing this. I should be doing this. And there are things we should be doing, and you admit that, but there's the idea that it's stolen from us. Can you kind of explain this idea of the attention economy and why it's so hard for us to take some of those steps that we know we should do?
I really appreciate you saying it that way, Hunter, because for me, at the start of this journey, I really just blamed myself, right, for my own attention problems. I was like, well, you just don't have enough willpower. You're not strong enough. Why aren't you strong enough? Why aren't you good enough, right? And I sort of looked at my godson and thought, well, there's something wrong with you, right? But what I actually learned when you really dig deeply into the science of this is what's happening to us at the moment is it's like someone is pouring itching powder over us all day and then leaning forward and going, hey, buddy, you might want to learn how to meditate. Then you wouldn't scratch so much. And you want to go, okay, I'll learn to meditate, but you need to stop pouring itching powder on me, right? So these deep factors that are invading our attention, and this is particularly important for children, because this is playing out in a more extreme way for children. These factors are bearing on them worse. And if you don't develop attention when you're a child, it's going to be much harder to develop it as an adult, right? So it's particularly important. And I think that it's interesting because I like the way you put that then about it being systemic in relation to all these factors. So the way I began to think of it is, when I started working on the book, I thought it would be primarily a book about the aspects of our technology that are designed to hack and invade our attention. And there are many such aspects, and they are really harming us. And I talk about the solutions in the book. But actually, the way I started to think about it is, if you picture this technology as a virus, to use now a very familiar metaphor, if you picture this technology as a virus, right, it's got its own power, and it would have been powerful at any time. But it came along at a moment when our immune system for attention was really down, when loads of things had already changed that would made us even more vulnerable to this thing that came along. So we've got to deal with both. We've got to deal with the aspects of the tech designed to hack our attention. We've also got to deal with our immune system. So that can sound a bit fancy and weird and abstract. So I'll give you a very concrete example that everyone immediately understands. Children now sleep 85 minutes less than they did a century ago. Adults sleep 20% less than we did a century ago. And I interviewed the leading sleep experts in the world. And Professor Dr. Charles Czeisler, who's at Harvard Medical School, arguably the leading sleep expert anywhere, said to me, even if nothing else had changed, even if the only thing that had changed is we sleep 20% less, that alone would be causing a really serious attention crisis for us and our kids. And of course, it's not the only thing that's changed. Think about how much more likely you are to kind of mindlessly scroll through TikTok for hours if the night before you didn't get a good night's sleep, right? But many of us are chronically sleep deprived. 40% of Americans get less than 7 hours sleep a night. We are chronically sleep deprived. Only 15% of us wake up feeling refreshed, which is staggering. 15% of us, right? Mm-hmm. I interviewed a lot of experts about why is sleep so important to attention. In fact, they've shown if you stay awake for 19 hours, which doesn't sound like very much, your ability to pay attention suffers as much as if you had got legally drunk. So this is a huge force that is weighing on all of us.
Or it's this like achievement oriented thing, right? This achievement oriented society, this like push to get more done in fewer hours that is pushing this. And also as well, you even described the economic impact of like, if we did get enough sleep, that was boggled my mind. I was like, well, I mean, I get enough sleep. I'm one of the rare people who does, but like that we would lose X amount of dollars because people would be spending less on Amazon or whatever because we'd just be sleeping. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it was so interesting talking to these experts about why is sleep so important, because, and it's particularly important, I know obviously your podcast focuses on children as well, and most of the book, a big part of the book is about what's happening to our kids' attention. Part of it's about us and part about our kids. And in adults, tiredness will usually manifest as drowsiness. In children, tiredness often manifests as mania and running around a lot, right? And hyperactivity. And it was interesting because one of the reasons it's so important, there's many reasons why sleep is so important, but Professor Roxanne Prichard, who you should totally have on the podcast, great person, I remember her explaining to me, one of the key factors is when you're sleeping, your brain is repairing. When you're awake throughout the day, something called metabolic waste is building up in your brain. She calls it brain cell poop, right? And what happens is when you go to sleep is an incredibly active process. You might think you're doing nothing. It's incredibly active. And your brain is cleaning itself. A watery fluid rinses through your brain. Your cerebral spinal fluid channels open, and it carries this brain cell poop out of your brain, down into your liver and out of your body. If you don't sleep properly, your brain is literally clogged up, right? You know that feeling when you feel almost hungover and clogged up and you haven't slept? That's not a metaphor. You are literally clogged up when you haven't slept properly.
Catch new episodes of the Mindful Mama podcast and other free resources, including the Mindful Mom Guide at mindfulmamamentor.com. You can listen to every back catalog episode, including interviews with Dr. Dan Siegel, Iyanla Vanzant, Sharon Salzberg, and get meditations, join our private Facebook group, and more. Go to mindfulmamamentor.com now. I'll see you there.